So I remember being 7 years old and playing nothing but Dr. Mario and Super Mario Brothers with my sister and the rest of my family growing up and all my friends, and that's basically all I wanted to do with my time was play video games. It got to the point where I could only ever think about video games, and in particular, Super Mario Brothers really resonated with me, and I began designing my own levels for Super Mario Brothers. I would keep my own little sketchbook and design out my own little levels that I would keep in a duotang, and I'd have a little cardboard cutout of Mario, and I'd sort of drag him along the levels, and I'd have him like jump over pits and jump on Goombas and everything, and I'd bring these into class and I'd show my friends, and I'd get them to sort of play along and drag their Mario along. Eventually I started incorporating like dice into it, so they'd have to roll dice to jump over enemies and try to actually complete the levels and then turn it into a mini game. From there I just sort of started making other weird things like different board games and other paper games. And then, Dungeons and Dragons sort of fell into my life, and things kind of escalated from there from a game design standpoint. That was really all I wanted to do with my life was make games and work on games. I talked to my guidance counselor in grade 7, and I said, I want to make video games. That's what I want to do with my life. And she said, no, that's not really something that people do. I started focusing on other arts, music, theater. I got really big into theater, and I always kept playing games, and playing D&D, but I never really thought that I'd end up, working on games. So I was always playing these games all throughout, high school into early college. I did the computer science thing, like the guidance counselor said, it was all right, I guess, but didn't really resonate with me the way that I was expecting it to. And the reason was it wasn't video games, which is what I wanted to do. So eventually, Algonquin College offered a video game development course, and I joined that, and it was the second year that the course was actually being offered publicly. I ended up joining that and met a whole bunch of other people that are really interested in making video games, and we all sort of banded together and taught each other and worked with each other to actually make this a reality, that we could actually work on games professionally together as a group. And it sort of escalated from there. So I started working on games in my spare time. I started making games not just for public consumption, but for me, for the act of actually just creating something. And it became this sort of cathartic thing for me, where I would just sort of sit down in the middle of the night and work on a game for a while, or work on a different game mechanic, or just a different idea, or play with a different tool. And I was getting something out of it. I was getting the same satisfaction that I would get when I would write a song, or when I was involved in theater. And it was sort of scratching the same itch for me, and that became so interesting for me that I just had to keep pursuing it. So the games that I make usually involve different types of really, really simple visuals, using these simple tools. And then they usually also have a narrative focus. And again, that's probably my background in theater and music, because I want to tell a story. I want to tell some type of history, or make you feel something just by playing the game, by moving the character around. I want there to be emotion there. Whatever that motion is and whatever comes out of you is kind of up to you as the player, but I want to try and get something out of you. And those are the kind of games that I tend to work on. Something really simple, something really that you can sit down and play in maybe 5-10 minutes, but afterwards you feel something. Maybe it's a little tingle, I don't know, but as long as you feel something at the end.
That's sort of what I'm aiming for.